Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. Before I start, I just want to ask you, is there anyone here who is not a Sindhi? Oh, that's really nice to see. Is there anyone here who is not, whose family was not affected by partition? Thank you very much for coming, for being interested in this subject. As you might know, the Sindhi story is hardly known. And when we talk about partition, we are usually talking about, usually it's the Punjab story. It's usually with visual images of trains filled with dead bodies, women being lined up to jump into wells and things like that. And the Sindh story is very different, and there are a few of us who started writing about this about, I think Nandita, who's here, was the first one. She started about 15 years ago, 2011. 11 years ago, sorry. So your first book was published in, okay. So even then, I mean, you know, if you look at, for example, Freedom at Midnight, there's not a single mention of the word Sindh. And if you look at any collection, I mean, recently, like about a year and a half ago, there was this New York Times essay about who owns the narrative, partition, who owns the narrative. Not a single word about Sindh. And actually, the Sindh story is huge. So, you know, we have made a lot of effort to write, to collect the stories and to put them together. And they still haven't received much of attention, which is why I wanted to start off by checking if there's anyone here who really didn't know anything about it. Because, I mean, Sindhis, obviously, and even people who have had families associated with partition, obviously we already know the story, even if we don't think it's very important because our families played it down and everybody adapted and everybody nobody talked. So yeah, when I read Susheel's manuscript, I read the first story, and it is a description of a refugee camp from a child's perspective. And there's this little child, little boy, 5 or 6 years old, and he's standing in line for his milk, and the milk is being doled out, and he's holding on to his grandmother's suttan, and he is waiting for his turn to come. And in that, you see so much. You see a people who have lost everything. And they were a prosperous people, now they've got nothing. They don't know what's going to happen next. And you know, I just love the way he was able to show the situation of a people who are thrown into a place, a new place, where they don't understand the language. And the people who are administrating the camp, they're doing a job. I mean, they don't understand what has happened to these people. They just see these people as, you know, somebody who they have to throw milk at and follow the rules. And at the end, I'm not going to tell you, because that's what really made me feel this is a story that needs to be told. I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end of that beautiful story, because I want you to read it in the book. And I will stop now. I don't need to talk anymore. I love this book. It was a great pleasure for me to work with Susheel on it. You may see Susheel as a great filmmaker, as somebody who's running $1 Million Confidence. For me, he's always going to be that little boy who's clutching onto his grandmother's suttan, waiting for the glass of milk. Thank you so much.